It all began on a late Thursday afternoon at the Grand Marquis Hotel, a luxurious high-end establishment nestled in the heart of Austin, Texas. The hotel's lobby was a picture of timeless elegance. Gleaming marble floors reflected the light of an enormous, ornate chandelier that hung suspended from a lofty ceiling, casting prismatic patterns across polished surfaces. Throughout the space, the soft murmur of refined conversations blended with the gentle clink of fine china and silver, creating an atmosphere of cultivated sophistication. For the dedicated staff of the Grand Marquis, dressed immaculately in navy and gold uniforms, the day's routine was always about perfection and precision. But on this day, fate had something entirely unexpected in store. At exactly 3:15 p.m., as the afternoon sun filtered through tall glass windows and lent the lobby an almost ethereal glow, the revolving glass doors swung open to admit a man who, at first glance, looked entirely unremarkable. He was dressed casually in jeans and a crisp white shirt, and his style was simple, even plain. Yet it was the red baseball cap he wore that set him apart. A cap emblazoned boldly with the words, "Make America Great Again." To any observer, the hat was not merely an accessory, but a potent political symbol, one that carried its own weight of expectation, judgment, and controversy. Holly, the front desk manager, was the first to notice him. As she scanned the lobby from behind the sleek, polished reception desk, her practiced eyes caught sight of the man's unusual headwear. A subtle tightening of her shoulders betrayed her inner alarm. In the world of high-end hospitality, where every detail was scrutinized, even the simplest accessory could spark strong opinions. Holly exchanged a brief, tense glance with one of her colleagues, an unspoken acknowledgement that the hat's political overtones might upset some of the hotel's discerning guests. Steeling herself, Holly forced a warm, professional smile as the man approached the counter. "Good afternoon, sir," she greeted, her tone measured and neutral. "Do you have a reservation?" The man paused, his expression calm and impassive as he replied evenly, "I don't." His voice was steady and there was a hint of quiet determination in his tone. "But I'd like a room for the night." For a fraction of a second, Holly's mind raced with the implications of his appearance. The hat, so loudly proclaiming a divisive slogan, could easily incite unwanted reactions from other guests or even disrupt the serene atmosphere of the hotel. In that split moment of uncertainty, she hesitated. When she finally responded, her voice was polite but laced with an edge of reluctance. "I'm sorry, sir, we're fully booked at the moment." The words were standard procedure, yet her eyes betrayed a fleeting flicker of unease, a hesitation that the man did not miss. He tilted his head slightly, as if studying her reaction, and murmured quietly, "Fully booked, huh? All right then, thanks for your time." With that, he turned and walked out, his steps measured and his demeanor unruffled despite the rejection. No sooner had he exited than the lobby buzzed with whispers. A young bellhop, his voice barely above a whisper, murmured to a colleague, "Do you think he was serious? I mean, who just walks into a place like this without a reservation?" Another staff member joined in, suggesting, "Maybe it wasn't about the reservation at all." In a quieter tone, Holly confided to another coworker, "It's the hat. You saw it. That hat is polarizing. We're not in the business of making political statements here." Even as she spoke softly, she couldn't shake the nagging feeling that there was more to this man than met the eye, a lingering sense of familiarity that she couldn't quite place. As the afternoon turned to early evening and the golden light began to soften, the incident with the red cap grew into a topic of conversation among the staff. In the break room, voices rose in low, animated discussion. Mateo, a member of the concierge team known for his keen memory, remarked, "I'm telling you, he looked like someone I've seen before, but I just can't figure out where." Denise, a junior receptionist with a flair for stirring up conversation, speculated, Maybe he's one of those political influencers or someone who likes to push boundaries for attention. Holly, though still unsettled, replied with a measured tone. I can't say for sure. There was something about him, something that felt vaguely familiar. The murmurs eventually reached the ears of Mr. Langston, the hotel's general manager. A strict yet fair man in his mid-50s with an impeccable taste in tailored suits, Langston was known for his unwavering commitment to the hotel's reputation. Summoning Holly to his spacious, meticulously organized office, he wasted no time. I've heard about the guest you turned away, he began, his voice as precise as the neatly aligned objects on it. I need you to explain what happened. Holly's heart pounded as she chose her words carefully. He didn't have a reservation, sir, and we have a strict policy to prioritize guests who book in advance. Langston's gaze sharpened as he inquired, And what about the hat? Did that influence your decision? Flushed with the sudden pressure, Holly's voice wavered slightly. I didn't want to risk any disruption, sir. It felt like the right call at the time. Langston sighed deeply and rubbed his temple. Holly, we are not here to make political statements. We cater to a diverse clientele, and our decisions must remain neutral. Remember that. As she left his office, Holly was left with a heavy mix of regret and curiosity. Who was that man, and why had his calm dismissal of a reservation request felt so different? Meanwhile, outside the Grand Marquis, the man in the red hat had not yet left the narrative behind him. Sitting in the driver's seat of a sleek black Tesla parked a block away, he reclined slightly as he observed the hotel's glowing sign from a distance. His fingers drummed a gentle rhythmic pattern on the steering wheel, and a small, enigmatic smile played at the corners of his lips. A few moments later, his phone buzzed, interrupting his silent reverie. He swiped to answer the call with the same calm demeanor that had defined his earlier interaction. They turned me away, he said lightly, his tone almost amused. On the other end of the line, a familiar voice chuckled softly. And you're surprised? The voice teased. Not at all, he replied with a widening smile. In fact, I think I've just found my next project. His words hinted at something deeper, a plan unfolding beyond the immediate rejection. For the staff of the Grand Marquis, the events of that afternoon were destined to haunt them. The next morning, the hotel awoke to its usual rhythm. The lobby was a hive of activity as staff prepared for another day of serving a high-end clientele with unwavering precision. Holly arrived early, her mind still replaying the previous day's events, determined to bury the lingering unease in a mountain of work and routine. But fate had other plans. At precisely 8 a.m., a fleet of sleek black vehicles rolled up in front of the hotel. Initially, Holly assumed it must be a visiting VIP, a senator perhaps, or a high-profile tech executive in town for one of Austin's famed conferences. But as the car doors opened and sharply dressed individuals emerged, Holly's stomach churned with a sense of impending change. Then, in the midst of the arriving entourage, she saw him again. The man from the previous day, only now the red baseball cap was gone. Instead, he wore a sharply tailored navy suit that exuded authority, sophistication, and an undeniable air of confidence. His transformation was stunning, a quiet statement that the man before her was not the one she had dismissed so casually. He strode into the lobby with purposeful steps, flanked by a small team whose presence underscored that he was no ordinary guest. He paused before the marble counter where Holly, still reeling from the shock of his reappearance, stood frozen. With a calm yet commanding tone, he addressed her. Good morning. I believe we need to have a conversation. Before Holly could muster a response, Mr. Langston appeared from down the corridor. His normally composed expression flickered with a mix of curiosity and concern as he approached. Sir, can I help you? He inquired, his voice measured but laced with uncertainty as he took in the unexpected sight of the well-dressed stranger accompanied by his entourage. The man extended his hand with a slight, knowing smirk. "I'm Elon Musk," he said, the declaration hanging in the air like a thunderclap. "And as of this morning, I'm the new owner of the Grand Marquis." A stunned silence fell over the lobby. The name Elon Musk reverberated like an electric current through the room, and for a moment, time itself seemed to slow. Holly's mind raced in disbelief. This was the same man whose rejection she had experienced the day before, and now he had reappeared, transformed, in a manner that defied all expectation. Langston's face, normally so stoic and composed, betrayed a momentary flash of confusion before he quickly recovered. "To my credit, you recovered quickly," Musk remarked as he shook Langston's hand, his smile steady and self-assured. "This is an unexpected surprise," Musk continued, his tone light yet measured. "I like to keep things interesting." He paused as he regarded the lobby around him, then added, "Now, I'd like to meet with your management team. We have some changes to discuss." With that, Musk and his team retreated toward the boardroom, leaving the staff and guests in a state of electrified anticipation. Whispers erupted throughout the lobby as employees speculated on what had just transpired. Holly's heart pounded. The events of the past day, her hesitant decision at the front desk, and the mysterious presence of the man in the red hat now coalesced into a dramatic turning point. It was as if he had known exactly what would unfold and had allowed events to transpire as a means to set the stage for something monumental. Inside the boardroom, tension mingled with curiosity as Langston gathered his department heads. Outside, in the lobby, the atmosphere was charged. Every staff member was on edge, each whisper and exchanged glance punctuating the uncertainty of the future. The boardroom door finally opened, and Musk emerged, flanked by Langston and several senior managers. Their faces were a mixture of apprehension and the forced optimism that came with change. With a few measured steps, Musk made his way to the center of the room, his presence demanding attention. He clapped his hands once, the sound resonating through the marble-clad space, and all eyes turned toward him. "All right," Musk began, his voice carrying an unmistakable air of finality. "There's a new vision for the Grand Marquis." His words were not just an announcement, but a promise that the hotel, as it was known, was about to be transformed. Langston stepped forward and cleared his throat. Effective immediately, Mr. Musk has implemented a set of new policies designed to ensure inclusivity and professionalism. These policies are non-negotiable moving forward. The staff, clustered in the lobby and peering through glass doors into the boardroom, exchanged wary glances. "Inclusivity," whispered Mateo to Denise, both of them trying to decipher what this might mean for their established routines. Denise, ever the instigator, wondered aloud, what is he really getting at? Musk anticipated the unspoken questions. "Yesterday, a situation occurred in this very hotel that highlighted a flaw in how we approach our guests," he said, his voice calm but resolute. "Let me be clear. This isn't about politics or personal beliefs. It's about treating every individual with respect and dignity, regardless of what they are wearing or who they are." His eyes swept the room, lingering for a moment on Holly, whose face burned with both embarrassment and a newfound resolve to do better. "To that end," he continued, "I have revised the hotel's customer service protocols. Effective today, every guest who steps through these doors will be treated with the same level of respect and care, no exceptions. Additionally, I've ordered sensitivity training for all staff to ensure these values are not just stated, but embodied in every interaction." A heavy silence followed his pronouncement. The words echoed in the minds of every employee present. Some nodded slowly, a spark of hope mingling with cautious optimism. while others remained skeptical, their eyes betraying the uncertainty of change. Musk then gestured toward Langston, whose expression had grown more resolute. "We will also be reviewing management practices to ensure consistency with these principles. If a place like this cannot model inclusivity, then we have a serious problem." As the meeting ended and Musk's entourage dispersed, Holly stood at the reception desk, her mind awash with conflicting emotions. The memory of her decision the previous day haunted her, even as Musk's bold new policies promised a transformative future. Did his changes target her actions specifically? Or was this part of a broader vision, a radical reimagining of how the hotel should operate? Later that morning, as the Grand Marquis resumed its daily rhythm, Holly tried to focus on her duties. The hotel was bustling as usual. Guests arrived with the expectation of luxury and impeccable service. Yet, every interaction now carried an added weight, a reminder of the lessons of judgment and second chances. It was as if the air itself had changed, charged with the possibility of redemption and transformation. For the next few days, the effects of Musk's decisions rippled through the hotel like a shockwave. Sensitivity training sessions were scheduled for every member of the staff, from the front desk to housekeeping. New customer service protocols were printed in bold letters and posted in every department. The entire team was expected to embrace a culture that transcended preconceived notions and judged every guest solely on their individual merits. Holly found herself in a state of introspection. Every time she answered the phone or greeted a guest, she remembered that fateful moment at the desk and the weight of a decision that now seemed far more significant than a simple policy adherence. One particular morning, a test of the new policies presented itself in a way that would forever alter Holly's perspective. It was Friday afternoon and the lobby was relatively calm compared to the usual bustle. Then, a woman walked in. Her attire was modest, yet unmistakably tied to a polarizing political cause, something that might have, under different circumstances, prompted a cautious reaction. Holly's heart skipped a beat as all eyes in the lobby seemed to focus on her, but this time, bolstered by the memory of Musk's message about universal respect, Holly greeted the woman warmly. "Good afternoon and welcome to the Grand Marquis," she said with genuine warmth and a steady tone that left no room for prejudice. The encounter proceeded smoothly. The guest checked in without incident, and Holly's confident professionalism shone through. As the woman departed, a sense of relief and perhaps hope settled over Holly. Maybe these new policies weren't merely corrective measures for a single mistake. Perhaps they heralded a genuine shift in the hotel's culture. Yet, just as things appeared to be settling into a hopeful new routine, the night brought another twist. It was nearly midnight when the lobby was quiet, and the hum of activity had dwindled to a soft murmur. Holly, finishing the final details of her shift, was startled to see a familiar silhouette approach the front desk. It was Musk again, this time unaccompanied, his presence in the near-empty lobby almost surreal. His eyes, once playful and enigmatic, now held an intensity that made Holly feel as if he were peering directly into her soul. He stopped in front of the desk and regarded her in silence for a few long seconds. Finally, breaking the quiet, he spoke in a measured, deliberate tone. "You're Holly, right?" Holly's throat tightened, and she nodded cautiously. "Yes, Mr. Musk." He leaned casually against the desk, his voice low and calm as he continued. "Do you know why I bought this hotel?" The question caught Holly off guard. She hesitated before replying, I assumed it was because of what happened the other day?" Musk let out a soft chuckle, shaking his head gently. "Not entirely. The incident was indeed the tipping point, but I've been eyeing this place for a long time. The Grand Marquis is iconic in its own right, and when I walked in yesterday wearing that hat, I wasn't testing anyone. I was simply curious." His tone was reflective, his gaze softening as if he were recalling a distant memory. Holly's confusion deepened. "Curious about what?" she managed to ask softly. "Curious about how quickly people are willing to judge," Musk replied, his voice carrying both amusement and a quiet sadness. "I've worn that hat in countless places, restaurants, airports, conferences, and every time, the reactions have been varied. Some ignore it, others become angry, and still others jump to conclusions about who I am. What happened here isn't unique, Holly. It's a human reaction, a knee-jerk response to symbols rather than individuals." He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. "What I want to do isn't just to run a hotel. I want to create a space where people are challenged to rethink those automatic judgments. A place where respect isn't conditional on appearance or preconceived notions." Holly's eyes filled with a mixture of remorse and resolve. "I'm sorry," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "I didn't mean to judge you. I was just following the rules." Musk regarded her kindly, his expression softening. "None of us are immune to our own biases, Holly. I'm not here to blame you. I'm here to show that we can choose to do better. You're good at your job. You have the power to make a difference with every guest you meet." He offered a slight smile before straightening up. "Remember that one mistake doesn't define you. Learn from it and let it be a stepping stone toward improvement." After those quiet moments, Musk departed, leaving Holly with a deep sense of introspection and hope. His words resonated with her long after he had vanished into the darkened corridors of the hotel. That night, as Holly locked up the reception area, she felt a strange combination of relief and determination. She had been given a second chance, a chance not just to perform her duties, but to truly embody the values that the Grand Marquis was beginning to embrace. In the days that followed, the changes Musk had introduced began to ripple outward, attracting attention far beyond the hotel's polished walls. Within a week, word had spread throughout Austin that Elon Musk, the tech visionary known for his polarizing personality, had made a dramatic investment in a high-end hotel. Headlines such as "Elon Musk buys hotel after controversial incident" and social media trends like "Grand Marquis reform" dominated local and eventually national discussions. Influential voices in business and politics debated the implications of a man known for his bold decisions, reshaping the hospitality industry with a message of inclusion and respect. The Grand Marquis quickly became a case study in modern corporate ethics. Business schools began to reference the hotel's transformation in lectures on leadership and change management, while motivational speakers cited Musk's bold vision as an example of how even the most established institutions could be reinvented. For the hotel's staff, the changes were intensely personal. What had once seemed like a simple mistake, a momentary lapse in judgment at the front desk, had now evolved into a powerful catalyst for transformation, challenging every employee to reconsider their assumptions and strive for genuine inclusivity. Holly threw herself into her work with renewed vigor. Every interaction with a guest became an opportunity for personal growth. Whether she was greeting a guest wearing a divisive slogan, assisting a family with special needs, or guiding a nervous traveler through check-in, she approached each situation with a calm empathy that had begun to define the new ethos of the Grand Marquis. Slowly, the culture of the hotel shifted. Staff members who had once exchanged hushed, judgmental whispers now found themselves engaged in honest conversations during breaks, sharing stories of their own experiences with bias and learning to recognize the subtle ways in which assumptions could cloud judgment. One crisp morning, as autumn leaves danced outside the hotel's grand entrance, Holly found herself deep in conversation with Mateo, who had become one of her closest confidants among the staff. "You know," he said thoughtfully, as they took a brief break near the ornate lobby fountain, I never really thought about how much a single decision, like turning someone away, could ripple out into something much bigger. Holly nodded slowly. I realize now that every interaction matters. I'm trying to remember that every guest is an individual, not just a symbol. It's not always easy, especially when the stakes feel so high, but I'm learning. Mateo smiled encouragingly. We're all learning, Holly. This place, this change, it's making us all rethink who we are and how we treat people. As weeks turned into months, the hotel's transformation continued in earnest. New training sessions, revamped service protocols, and a relentless focus on respect and inclusivity became the norm. The Grand Marquis was no longer just a venue for luxury. It was a living, breathing example of how challenging preconceptions could lead to genuine improvement in human relations. Guests arrived not only to experience world-class service, but also to witness firsthand the transformation that had taken hold of the establishment. One of the most pivotal moments came during a press conference held in the hotel's grand ballroom. A breathtaking space adorned with opulent decor and bathed in warm ambient light. Reporters, influencers, local leaders, and curious citizens packed the room, eager to hear Musk's vision for the future. Standing on a polished stage, Musk addressed the crowd with the calm authority that had become his trademark. I didn't buy this hotel to make a political statement, he declared, his voice echoing confidently throughout the hall. I bought it because I believe in the power of change. Too often we let symbols, slogans, or appearances dictate how we treat one another. That's not only unfair, it's limiting. Here, in this place, we're taking a stand. We're creating a space where respect is unconditional, where everyone is seen as an individual, not just a stereotype. His words were met with thunderous applause. Among the audience, Holly felt a surge of emotion, a mixture of pride, hope, and an overwhelming sense of responsibility. She had been part of something transformative, something that reached far beyond the walls of the hotel and into the hearts of people everywhere. Musk continued, "This is just the beginning. I challenge every institution, every organization to look in the mirror and ask, are we really living up to the values we claim to uphold, or are we simply trapped in our own prejudices?" His gaze swept the room, and for a moment it felt as though every person present was forced to confront their own assumptions. I want the Grand Marquis to be a beacon, a model of how we can all learn, grow, and ultimately create a better society. In that moment, as the applause swelled and the future of the hotel was reimagined before everyone's eyes, Holly knew that her own journey of transformation was far from over. The memory of that fateful Thursday, the decision she had made at the front desk, the guilt, and the eventual redemption had become a turning point in her life. It was a lesson in humility, empathy, and the unending possibility for growth. One evening, after another long day at the hotel, Holly gathered the courage to seek out Musk in the quieter corner of the lounge where he sat alone with a cup of coffee. The space was intimate, far removed from the day's chaos, and it offered a rare moment of calm. Summoning every ounce of resolve, Holly approached him. "Mr. Musk," she began softly, "I just wanted to say thank you for everything you've done here, for giving us all a chance to change." Musk looked up from his coffee, his eyes warm and reflective. "Thank you, Holly," he replied, his tone sincere. "But the credit isn't mine alone. It's you, every one of you here, who makes the change happen. I merely created the opportunity. You are the ones who choose to do better every day." Those words, simple and direct, resonated deeply with Holly. In that quiet moment, away from the glare of the cameras and the clamor of the press, she felt a profound sense of purpose. A realization that every interaction, every decision, carried the potential to reshape not just a hotel, but the world at large. Over the following months, the Grand Marquis continued to thrive under Musk's visionary leadership and the dedicated efforts of its staff. The hotel's transformation became the subject of numerous articles, televised interviews, and even academic case studies. People from all walks of life, guests, employees, critics, and supporters converged at the hotel, drawn by its reputation as a place where change was not only possible, but celebrated. For Holly, every day was a chance to prove that her past mistake did not define her. She embraced each challenge with a renewed commitment to excellence, greeting every guest with warmth and respect, regardless of their background or appearance. And as she did so, she watched not only her own transformation, but the gradual reshaping of an entire culture. A culture that recognized the power of second chances, the value of humility, and the importance of treating every human being with dignity. As the seasons changed, so too did the narrative of the Grand Marquis. What had once been a high-end hotel defined solely by its luxury and exclusivity had evolved into a symbol of progress, a place where every detail, from the gleaming marble floors to the subtle art on the walls, told a story of transformation and hope. The hotel became a living testament to the idea that even the smallest decisions, like how one greets a guest at a front desk, can set off a chain reaction that changes lives. One crisp winter morning, as Holly stood behind the reception desk and looked out at the quiet street beyond, she reflected on the journey that had brought her here. The memory of the man in the red hat, the uncertainty, the whispered judgments, and the later revelation of his true identity as Elon Musk was etched into her heart as a lesson she would never forget. In that moment, she made a silent promise to herself to always see beyond the surface, to treat every person as an individual, and to remember that the power to change the world often begins with the smallest act of kindness. The Grand Marquis' story spread far and wide. News outlets across the nation ran stories about Elon Musk's bold new venture in hospitality, and the hotel became a beacon for those who believed in the transformative power of empathy and respect. In boardrooms, classrooms, and living rooms, people discussed the lessons learned from a simple act of turning away a guest. A mistake that, when corrected, led to a revolution in customer service and corporate ethics. In time, Holly's own journey of transformation became an inspiration. She was invited to speak at industry conferences, sharing her experiences and the lessons she had learned about overcoming bias and embracing change. Her voice, once marked by uncertainty and guilt, had grown strong and clear, a testament to the fact that even the most deeply ingrained habits could be reshaped through introspection and a willingness to learn. During one particularly moving conference, Holly recounted the events of that fateful Thursday afternoon at the Grand Marquis. "I thought I was just following protocol," she admitted before a captivated audience. "But I now understand that every decision we make, no matter how small, has the power to redefine us. I learned that true strength isn't in never making mistakes, but in owning them and using them to become better." Her words resonated with the crowd, many of whom had struggled with similar judgments in their own lives. Musk, too, continued to champion the cause of change. At the hotel's anniversary celebration, a grand affair attended by celebrities, business leaders, and loyal guests, he took to the stage once again. "Change," he declared, "is not a threat, it's an opportunity." The Grand Marquis stands as proof that when we embrace diversity and respect every individual, we unlock the true potential of our society. His message, delivered with characteristic clarity and passion, stirred a standing ovation among the audience. And so the Grand Marquis Hotel was transformed, not just in its policies or its management, but in the very fabric of its existence. It became a living example of how a single act, even one born out of hesitation or fear, could set in motion a cascade of change. Every guest who walked through its doors was greeted with genuine warmth, every employee was encouraged to grow and learn, and every interaction became a chance to rewrite the narrative of judgment into one of understanding. For Holly, the journey was far from over. Each day, as she welcomed new guests and navigated the challenges of her role, she carried with her the lessons of the past, a reminder that change is a continuous process, one that requires vigilance, empathy, and the courage to confront one's own imperfections. And in that ongoing journey, she discovered that the power to shape the future was not reserved for the bold or the influential alone. It lay in the hands of every person willing to take a chance on kindness and growth. As the years passed, the story of the Grand Marquis Hotel and the remarkable series of events that had transformed it became a cherished legend in Austin. A story that parents told their children, that business schools discussed in lectures, and that media outlets recounted as a beacon of hope in times of division. And at the heart of that story was a simple truth, that every decision, no matter how small, can be the catalyst for extraordinary change. So, as the lobby's chandelier continued to cast its shimmering light over the marble floors, and as every guest was greeted with a smile that spoke of genuine care and respect, the Grand Marquis stood as a testament to the transformative power of second chances. And for Holly, every day was a reminder that the choices we make define not only our own futures, but the future of everyone around us. When asked at a later date about the incident that had sparked such a monumental change, Holly would simply say, "It all started with one hat, one decision, and one unexpected twist." That day taught me that if we're willing to learn from our mistakes, we can reshape not just ourselves, but the world we live in. And with that, the legacy of the Grand Marquis Hotel, its values of inclusivity, respect, and constant evolution lived on, inspiring countless others to choose compassion over judgment, understanding over prejudice, and growth over stagnation.